welcome to episode 5 of the Honeybird Studio podcast. My name is Jenny, and I'm coming to you from the Fraser Valley of British Columbia, Canada. You can find me on Instagram and on Ravelry at Honeybird Studio. This is a podcast that's primarily about knitting and possibly other crafty endeavors that I might get up to in the future, but for today it is all knitting. I'd just like to start off by saying welcome back to any returning viewers. Thank you so much for your patience. I know I've been away for a little while, but I'm here today filming a podcast, so yeah. And then also welcome to those of you who are new to my podcast. Thank you so much for checking out my channel. I guess I'll just jump right into the knitting stuff because I have a little bit to show today. I know it's been a couple months since my last podcast, and you know how it goes. You kind of lose your knitting mojo every once in a while, and I kind of lost my knitting mojo for a while, but it's slowly coming back. I've slowly been working on stuff, so I've got a bit to show today. A couple of finished objects and a handful of works in progress. So I'll start off with what I'm wearing, which is ties into finished objects as well because it is my biggest finished object since the last episode. I was pretty much almost done it on the last episode. I think I was just finishing the sleeve. But anyways, this is my Woodstone cardigan. I'll stand up and show you. So you can see the lace work, or the lace and cables on the back. And then I've got it on the arms as well, or yeah, down the sleeves, all the way down on both sides. Yeah. And the front, it's like an open front cardigan. It doesn't close, so when I was writing this pattern, or like writing the notes for the pattern, I was kind of winging it. I just kind of eyeballed the size and I used some numbers from other pattern. Like I went and looked at a couple other cardigan patterns, and I kind of used the numbers to gauge my size and kind of went from there. So this is, I'm pretty proud of this. It's my first, I think it's my first cardigan I've ever made. I don't think I've made sweaters, but this is my first cardigan. And the yarn that I used is Briggs & Little. I believe it was Heritage. I think it was, the Heritage base. And if I remember correctly, the colorway was called Fundy Fog. And yeah, I think it took me just under 6 skeins to make this. I should probably write down the yardage, or I probably have the yardage written down in my notebook somewhere, but don't have it with me. But yeah, so that is, it's a pattern that someday when I'm more knowledgeable about pattern sizing or pattern grading, I would like to have this pattern written up and release it publish it to Ravelry. But yeah, it'll probably be a while before I get around to it'll just be a while before I get around to learning how to grade the pattern, like grade patterns and sizing and stuff like that. So yeah, that's my cardigan. I'll probably be taking it off later because it is getting a little bit warm. So from there I'll go into finished objects, and I have a couple that technically I finished. 2 of them I finished back in March, and the other one I finished just last week. So I'll start with my first finished object, which is a hat. Just a simple, you can tell I've worn it, I was wearing it a lot, or I had worn it a lot until the weather got better. But yeah, this is my hat. Just a simple stitch pattern that I think I found it online. I worked out the numbers for the size of the hat. The yarn that I used is Mid-Knit Cravings in their Hefty Bulky base. I think it's something that they only release for like the fall, winter. This was like the last of their run of this year, earlier this year when I ordered it. I think the colorway was called Curtsy, and I believe the pom-pom, it was sold as a kit, but I believe the pom-pom was Rose and Pearl. But yeah, so as soon as I finished this hat, it became my favorite hat to wear. So I've worn it. I think I wore it every day for a couple of weeks. Back in like March when I finished it. I finished it on March 1st. I cast it on and cast it off within a couple of hours, if I remember correctly. I just was really gung-ho to get it done. It was a really quick knit because it is a bulky yarn. So this is a pattern that I have written down, but I probably won't release until like closer to the fall because it is summer, or it's like spring summer right now, so it makes more sense to wait until the fall for that. So yeah, that's the hat. And the colorway is really nice. The speckles are really nice. I feel like it matches it matches my winter coat perfectly. All right, and then on theme with Midnight Cravings, I finished a pair of socks that I was working on, and these are these are going to be called my like Woodstone socks. So I was going to do like a whole collection of Woodstone, like using the same, like the similar stitch pattern, and put it in different things. So I've got a pair of socks here. You see the pattern, and I'll take it off the sock blocker so you can see. I haven't wet blocked these yet. They've just been sitting on the sock blockers since I finished them. I did weave in the ends, but I haven't cut them yet. I don't normally, when I weave in ends, I normally, like the way I do it is once I weave it in, I kind of put like a little loop knot in it. I guess oops, if I can show it to you. Oh, sorry about the band-aid. But yeah, just like a little loop knot. And then I block it. And then that way, during blocking, if the yarn gets pulled in any way, once it's done blocking and dry, then I can snip it. And then that way I don't know. To me, it feels like that it makes sense in my head to do it that way. So that way, like the yarn, if it stretches in any way, it gives it room to do that before I cut the yarn. But yeah, so oops, I'll get this out of the way. So on the front of the sock, I've got the lace pattern. So that's the same pattern that's running down the center of the back of the Woodstone cardigan. So got the lace going down the front of the sock. And then on the back of the leg, I have this stitch pattern. So it's similar to the sleeve here, except I did more of the twist, the one stitch, or the 2-stitch cable twist, or what, it's not even a cable, it's like just a mock cable. So yeah, I really liked how these turned out. Again, oh right, the yarn that I used is Midnight Cravings, and this is in their, it's one of their fingering bases. Light fingering or light sock. And the colorway is called Afternoon Tea, and it's like a really nice kind of like golden, like brown gold, I guess, or like, yeah, it's coming off a little bit lighter on the camera, but yeah, it's a really nice tonal. I think it's going to be like one of my favorite ones that they dye up. I would love to have a shawl in this color and maybe a hat. But yeah, so that is the Woodstone socks. Another pattern eventually I'll get around to writing up, publishing at some point. The last finished object that I have is, no surprise here, another Ripple bralette. And this is by Jessie Made Designs. I think this has got to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think this is my 7th one. This is the 7th Ripple bralette that I made. This pattern was worth every penny. I'm considering getting the shorts, like the shorts, the Ripple shorts, or I think that's what they're called. And she's got so many other like different bralette styles, and I'm thinking of purchasing some of the other ones. I love this one, just I don't know, I've been wearing every single one that I've made. I've worn every single one of them multiple times. Like, I basically have them on rotation. The yarn that I used is Loops and Threads wool-like, and what I did was I held it double and I went up a needle size. and I found that that gave me a really good gauge. And the size that I knit for myself is a medium. And when I make, usually out of 2 balls of loops and threads held double, I can get 1 small and 2 medium size ripple bralettes. I kind of I follow the pattern as it is, but I've decided that I've just used the same needle size for the whole thing, ribbing included. Like the bottom ribbing usually, or it says to use the smaller needle, but I don't have a 16-inch circular on the smaller needle size, and working magic loop on or like on this particular, I'm not a huge fan of that, so I decided I'd just go with the bigger needle size and just do the whole thing, and it worked out fine. Like the ribbing, it doesn't like, it's not stretched out or anything, so yeah. It's I think the colorway for this is called Rose. It's like a dusty pink color. It's really nice. But yeah, so that is that. Not much else to say. This is probably like the millionth time I've shown a ripple bralette, and I have more to show in my works in progress. But before I get to that, like before, yeah, I'll show you my other works in progress first. So yeah, so that's it for finished objects. So now on to works in progress. And the first thing I'm going to show is something that has been languishing since I put it down back in February. I think once I finished this cardigan, I cast on another one in black. The same, yeah, in same pattern, but I was gonna go up a size, so I kind of, again, I'm not following a pattern. I just kind of followed my own pattern and added more stitches and kind of guessed what a bigger size would be, but I think I went too big for me personally, or I cast on too many stitches, because when I try this on, it is a little bit, like it's just, I think it's too big, and so I kind of lost steam on it. So this is, you see the pattern there, the lace down the middle and then the cables on the side. Hopefully, yeah, it's on, black shows up. But yeah, I split for the sleeves. Like I just powered through the first part until I could split for the sleeves so that I could try it on. And when I tried it on, I realized that it is much bigger than I anticipated. However, I just tried it on right before I started podcasting again, and kind of, you know, adjusted it and thought, well, if I make the shawl, the collar part, if I do this part a couple inches thicker, I think it'll fit okay. But I did, like, on the front, I increased a lot on the front, and so like on the one that I'm wearing right now, it doesn't close in the front. It kind of just, yeah, it just sits like this. And on this one that I'm knitting right now, I increased it a lot so that it overlaps like that. I'm not sure, like, I like the overlap, but then I thought about, well, once I put the the ribbing on, it's going to be even more like, it's going to be even longer. So I don't know. I've been yeah, it's been languishing in this bag at the back of my closet for a little while now, because I'm not sure if I want to continue on it or if I want to take it apart and just follow the pattern for this one and just make this size again. Yeah, I'm still a little torn. The yarn that I used is the same, Briggs & Little in the Heritage base, and the color is just black. So we'll see how that goes. I might try and, I don't know. Well, with the summer, I mean, this is pretty thick yarn. It's pretty thick, like, it's woolly wool, so it is a bit, it's pretty warm, so I don't anticipate that I'll be wearing a very woolly sweater or cardigan in the summer. I mean, maybe in, like, early in the mornings and maybe late at night. But I might end up just leaving that until later in the summer, or maybe closer to the fall. We'll see if I get inspiration to knit on it again. And on the topic of like more wool things that aren't really weather appropriate for the summer, my next work in progress is a sweater. I showed it off last time. And I believe the sweater is called Airy, and I believe it was by Isabel Kramer. I want to say it's been a while since I've looked at the pattern. But yeah, so this it's so close to being done. Let's see if I can unravel this here. Whoops. So yeah, so this is the sweater so far. I don't remember how far I was last time. It's been a while. I've done a lot of work on it, so I'm pretty sure I was like maybe like around here. Maybe I had just split for the sleeves, or maybe I was a little bit further. Maybe I was on the sleeves. I honestly don't remember. But in any case, I finished one sleeve, and I didn't follow the pattern I did not do any decreases in the sleeve. I found that like I kind of like the straight sleeve look, and then like I decreased the stitches by 50% on the bottom here to make like kind of a puff sleeve. And I tried it on and I did like how it looked. So all that's left on this is to finish this sleeve, and then I go back and pick up for the collar here, and then that's basically it. I think the last couple of weeks I've picked it up, knit a couple of rounds on the sleeve every once in a while, and then put it back down. I think if I get motivation to, I would like to sit down and just crank out the rest of it, because it is a nice sweater. I really like the cable detail on the front, or the lace and cables on the front, as you can tell from this. And I like cables and lace together. I think they make a really nice combination. The yarn that I used for this is, again, Briggs & Little, and I believe this is their sport base, and the colorway is called Mulberry. And for this one, I did do a swatch. I've got a swatch on my board here, and I did have to go down a needle size, if I remember correctly. I was worried at first that it, like, I mean, I don't know why I was worried, because it's like, I got gauge, but on a smaller needle size, and so when I picked, I think I'm knitting a medium, and when I tried it on, or before I tried it on, I was a little concerned. I was like, oh, maybe it might be not the right size, but I tried it on and it does fit, so I'm really looking forward to having this done and adding it to my sweater collection. Oh, and the bag that it's in is a bag that I made myself. It's just got a bunch of sweet treats on it. Yeah, I pretty much just reuse the same bags over and over again. But like this one is my Fox bag, one of my Fox bags. I've got it in different sizes. My next two works in progress, because I have been unmotivated to stitch this together, is one is another Ripple Bralette by Jessie Made Designs. You can see it's not attached, and I made this one slightly longer than my other ones. You can see all the tails here, and I've got my stitch holders holding the stitches here. All that's left to do on this is the 3 needle bind off, like on the straps here. But it's not my favorite thing to do, even though it only takes a couple of seconds. I just wanted to cast on another one I just really wanted to cast on the next color. So that's Ripple Bralette work in progress number 1. And this one is number 2. This one I cast on, I think, last weekend, and I worked on it I worked on it a bunch in one sitting, and then I put it down, and then I picked it up again yesterday. So this is the small size, so this will be for my sister. This again is Loops and Threads wool-like, and this is like, what colorway is this called? This is called beige. So yeah, this is the yarn that I'm using. Loops and Threads wool-like. I have found that like this yarn, like for the gauge that I'm getting, holding it double has been perfect for these ripple bralettes. And I think I mentioned last time maybe that I've got more colors to make. I've got this one, and I've got, after this I'm gonna make a black one, and I think I'm gonna go buy the mustard yellow and possibly the olive green. And I'm gonna make, I just want them in all different colors because it's summer, or it's gonna be summer, and it's a perfect accessory to my wardrobe. It's great to wear the bralettes under my shirts and stuff. So yeah, not much else to say about that. Again, it's just ripple bralettes for days. I've got, yeah, I'm pretty sure all summer long I'm going to be having at least 1 or 2 of these on the needles at any given time. And it's nice that like I can knit one for my sister, I can knit one for myself, and then I can either knit the third one for as another one for myself, or I have a friend that I can give it to. So yeah. And then the next work in progress is a pair of socks that again, it was the this is my Woodstone socks. So this oh, I just turned the heel. Okay. Let's see. There we go. So this again has the lace down the front, and then on the back, instead of doing the cable like this O cable, I did just the twist stitches. And I kind of I'm kind of on the fence whether I like this texture, like just full on twisted stitches, or like the twist cable thing, or if I like it with the cable running down the middle. I think once I finish these socks and I have them and I can put them on and compare the two, then I'll decide which one I like more. The yarn that I'm using here is Midnight Cravings. You see the color, it's really nice. So this is Midnight Cravings, and again, this is like their, I think it's light fingering. Oh, I've got the ball bands here. Let me just, this one is, oh yeah, of course, this one's called Wine Knot. Yeah, and the other one was Afternoon Tea. So this is, yeah, I believe this sock I cast on, was it this one? Yeah, I think I cast it on when I was in the hospital back in March. Thankfully, you know, you can bring your knitting to the hospital and it helps you pass the time, because I don't know what I would have done if I didn't have my knitting. But yeah, and then the needles that I use are the Addi Flexi Flips. So you can see these are the Flexi Flips. I used to, when I first started knitting socks, I used double point needles, and I found that they were a little bit cumbersome, a little bit finicky, but I preferred that. I tried the 9-inch circulars, and the 9-inch circulars really hurt my hands. I couldn't quite get like my muscles used to that, like such a small circumference. And I tried Magic Loop, and I was okay with Magic Loop, but I felt like I wanted, it's interesting because it's like I felt like I would like something between Magic Loop and double point needles. And sometime, like this was a couple years ago, the Flexi Flips came out, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna give these a try. So you can see there, these ones are like, I don't remember what they're called, but they're double-ended, where like, well, of course they're double-ended, but one end is pointier than the other. So I think it's like called like Addi Flexi Flip Turbo needles or something like that. But yeah, so they've got the needles and then a very short, like maybe 2-inch, 1-inch, 1.5-inch cable in the middle there. And it's basically like, for me, it feels like a combination of, or something in between magic loop and double point needles. And when I first used them, they were really weird. It took me several attempts to get used to them. I think I must have picked them up and put them down at least a dozen times. And I couldn't figure out how to hold my hands, like where to, like, yeah, because if you've ever done like 9-inch circulars, or at least for me, I feel like I had to hold my hand a different way in order to stitch on that. And then like with double point needles, if you have like 3 or 4 double pointed needles when you're knitting a sock or a sleeve or something, you kind of have to work your hands around the other needles. It's not like terrible, but it is like, it's different from just knitting back and forth or like knitting on like a 16-inch or something. But yeah, I think it took me about a week or so, and one day, yeah, I was watching YouTube videos trying to see how other people held the needles, and one day I just picked them up and my hands just knew where to go, like where to put my fingers and my thumb and stuff. So if you ever want to give the Addi Flexi Flips a try, I think Hiya does Flexi Flips as well, but they might be called something else. Hiya Flyers or something. But anyways, yeah, I would suggest giving them a try if you know someone who has them. Maybe borrow them and try them out. If you're like me and like double point needles and magic loop, but kind of want something in between. I mean, the Flexi Flips are definitely not for everyone. I've known several people that gave them a try and didn't like them. But I do personally think that, like, not to say I'll never go back to double point needles or magic loop, but with socks, I think I've got 5 pairs of Flexi Flips, so I'm pretty set on the Flexi Flips. Anyways, that was a whole tangent about some needles. That's just my opinion on them. I think that's it for works in progress, and all that's left is, I feel like I just sped through this, sorry about that, but all that's left is my acquisitions, and in the last 2 months I've only bought just this, and I don't have a project for it or anything. I just was at the yarn shop, needed a pick-me-up, and I saw this yarn and it was a really good price. And yeah, so my local yarn shop is Birkeland Bros Wool. And I guess they have their own, I don't know what it's called, but like they have a really big machine that does the, what is it called? When they put the wool through the machine and it cards it or something like that. I'm not terribly familiar with it, so I apologize if I'm getting this entirely wrong. But like they do have, maybe I'll ask if I can take a picture of it next time I go there. But yeah, like they have their own, I guess they must have access to like their own sheet or something. I'm not sure. But this is, in any case, this was made like specifically for the wool shop. And this is Corriedale DK 3-ply yarn. I don't think I've ever knit with Corriedale, but this is 200, like each one of these is 200 grams. So I've got 400 grams here altogether, and it's 656 yards. So that's like 1,300 yards altogether. So I've got quite a bit. I've got enough to make, I'm wondering if I could make something for summer, like a lacy shawl or maybe a lacy top of some sort. Yeah, it's undyed, so it's just natural undyed yarn, and it feels really nice. Like I think it's gonna be, I think it would make a really nice shawl. So I'm probably gonna look up some patterns and see if there's something out there that I'd like to knit with it. But yeah, so it was a really good price. I think it was like $17 or $18 Canadian for each one. And I figured that was, I mean, for the yardage that you get, I mean, I can get a whole shawl or maybe a sweater, not a sweater, but like or maybe even a sweater out of it. I'm not sure. But yeah, so that's pretty much takes care of everything that I've been up to over the last, what has it been, like 2 months or so. I'm hoping to get more knitting done so that I can podcast again in a couple of weeks, or maybe again in a month or so. Yeah, I think that's about it. Yeah, so thanks again for checking out my podcast. I hope everyone's doing well, and I hope you guys all get up to some great knitting over the next couple of weeks. Yeah, maybe let me know what you're knitting on for this summer. Like, what are your favorite summer projects? Or like, particularly, what is your favorite DK project for summer? Like, whether it's a shirt or maybe a cardigan, a shawl. Yeah, I'm looking for ideas. So if you have any ideas, I'd love to know. But yeah, anyways, I'll see you guys next time. Happy knitting.